Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming back for another week where I talk about my favorite movies. This week I'm going to talk about Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King to be exact. The Lord of the Rings is interesting for me because I read the books and it's technically one book broken up into like three parts. And then there are six parts technically is what makes up the entire book. So there are really six books, but anyway, not trying to get into the whole detail of how Tolkien broke out and wrote the Lord of the Rings and everything like that. Anyway, but when I look at the movies, I kind of almost look at them in the same way. So it was kind of hard for me to like. I look at them as one big flowing piece and story. And so for a while I was like, oh, do I put this on the list? Do I not? Because technically it's the whole thing. And then I stopped and tried to think of it. Okay, well, there are three different movies. It's still a trilogy. You can think of it in movie terms. It's a trilogy. It's the third movie. And when I think about how I felt watching each of these movies, the third one, I love them all, and there are some days where like there are moments in Two Towers that I just like love more than anything else in the entire series. But there's something about the third one as a whole that just makes it the best of the three for me, which is why it's my favorite. It does a just splendid job of taking everything that the first two movies were building up to, and yes, though it's 3.5 hours, 4.5 hours if you count the extended version, it takes everything that happened in those first two movies and perfectly just brings it all together to a close. Now, some people hate the fact that it's so many endings, in the last one. It's like, why didn't it took forever to end? Like, every time you thought that was going to be end of it and the credits were going to roll, another one comes out. But like, that's one of the things that I love about it is that, like, it wraps up every single story that was started in that first movie all the way up to the last one, and as it should, because it's based off of the book. In the book, a lot of the things that are wrapped up in the book are portrayed in the movie. There is one whole chapter, however, that is completely missing in the movie versus the book, but I'm not trying to get into a book versus movie discussion. But just from a movie standpoint, I love it because it is the peak of the technology at the time. They fully perfected the Maya technology at this point with all the characters and the set pieces and everything that they created in it. But also, the entire series does this, but it's just the culminating piece of every single piece of armor, every single prop, and everything, that was built for this movie is on display in its like best form. I think everyone's in their best attire. All the makeup is on point. All the action sequences are at its best in this movie, and the performances are fantastic from each of the characters and cast members. It's just a phenomenal movie as a whole, where the cinematography, the acting, the production design, the graphics and animation, the fight and action sequences, the emotional sequences, all are just at a top tier level that you could see was building towards as you watch the other movies and you get to this last one, and every aspect of the film is at its best. And not that the previous movies weren't at their best in each of those same aspects, but often in trilogies, there's always one that's just significantly better than all the other ones for reasons that doesn't necessarily always make it the best at everything. Like, there's some that the cinematography is better, or the direction is better, or the production design is better because they had a better budget for this next movie or whatever it might be, and you can kind of see that in each one. Very rarely do all of them stay consistently good And that's what the cool thing about Lord of the Rings is. They all were consistently good in all those areas. But then you get to the third one and it still found a way to push the envelope and be the best of the previous two movies. But, you know, just from like, you know, that's all the technical stuff that I love about it. Without getting too detailed and specific, you know, I could go on and on about why it's so great from that standpoint. But, you know, for me, this is my first exposure to the full story of Lord of the Rings. So when it came out and I finally watched it as a kid, I hadn't read the book yet. So I had watched some of the older cartoon versions of Lord of the Rings when I was younger, and those do a good job of giving you the base of the story. So I kind of knew how it's supposed to end. But just seeing it in live action form gives a totally different emotional feel to it. And like when they're lining up at the end to fight the battle at the Black Gates, where, you know, Aragorn and Gandalf and Legolas and Gimli are all teamed up together with all the armies of men, you know, about to fight on this entire surrounding force of orcs that are walking out of the gates of Mordor and everything, and they're, you know, getting ready to go at them. That whole scene, you know, where they're getting ready and they're standing there and they're saying their last words to each other, and then Aragorn goes for Frodo and charges into the, you know, the mass of orcs and everything. It's just, there's something epic about that that sets it apart from all the other really great epic moments from the first two movies. And even when like Sam is carrying Frodo up Mount Doom, because Frodo is just completely exhausted and worn out from everything that they've gone through up to this point. There are just so many great emotional moments, not just that are shot well and set well and, you know, beautifully done from a visual standpoint. You feel the performances so well, greater than, you know, many other movies, you know. That's what makes it so good. You know, and as a kid, I'm sitting there watching them, and I feel that, you know, I'm getting teary-eyed and choked up watching, you know, these moments happen. I'm getting goosebumps. I'm feeling hyped up, you know, as Aragorn's giving his, like, you know, speech and everything, and just, you know, everything about that final movie is just phenomenal. And just a beautiful piece of artwork. Props to Peter Jackson. You know, that's definitely the best of his work that I've seen. And I'm so glad that he did those movies. I don't think, we'll see. I mean, Amazon's doing a series with Lord of the Rings that's supposed to be coming up in the next couple of years. We'll see how they do, but you know, I don't think there will be a book to movie adaptation of Lord of the Rings that is as well done as what Peter Jackson did with the Lord of the Rings. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I'll stop it there because I don't want to go on too long about it. But if you also love Lord of the Rings, you know, give this video a like. That'd be great. Share it with anybody else that loves Lord of the Rings. You know, comment in the comment section. You know, message me if you know, want to chit chat about it a little bit more. I'd be happy to. Yeah, it's one of my favorites for many different reasons, but hopefully this little rambling spiel kind of made a little bit of sense to you guys. But thanks for checking out the video. Like I said, like it, share it if you love Lord of the Rings, and you know somebody else that does and would enjoy seeing me sit here and chat about it. But yeah, I might go try and watch that, you know, this weekend or something like that. I haven't watched them in forever. I used to watch them a couple times a year for a really long time. I could quote the movies probably back in my sleep, to be honest. But yeah, Lord of the Rings, the whole series, but Return of the King is definitely my absolute favorite of the three, for all the reasons I've already said. So check it out if you have never seen them. I highly recommend it. I still have friends that I'm trying to get to watch it. I know it's a commitment that's over, what? It's a lot. It's 12 hours worth of movies to watch. I get that, but it's worth every second of it for sure. Alright, that's it. I've been talking for a while now. Thanks for checking this out. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and take it easy.